Well, somebody made a terrible mistake at the nursery, but I am so glad they did. So what you're looking at are Primark Freedom blackberries. This is my second summer. I planted them in January of 21, grew them all last year, had a fantastic hedgerow of them last year, just about like this, probably bigger than this actually, and had just a lot of blackberries off of them last year. Then the big freeze came in February of this year, and I lost probably half of the canes. You see scattered all over the ground pieces of cane, and it's because I trimmed out so many dead canes. That freeze just killed about half of the canes that had grown last year. All that you see right now is green growth, is this year's canes. Now these are a primocane variety, and all these canes that you see are primocanes. They have come up this year. Everything that you see, all the growth, all the green, has come up this year. And the canes that were left from last year, the floor canes, produced and then died, and then some, they got pruned out too. So some of these prunings are from the floor canes that I pruned out from last year's canes. So why am I happy that there was a mistake made in my order? Well, because this last blackberry over here, I thought was, all these were supposed to be Primark Freedoms. This one right here is, I think you can just almost tell by the growth pattern. This is not the same blackberry, not the same variety. But why am I happy about that? I wanted dadgum Primark Freedoms, right? Well, the reason I'm happy, and the reason I think you should plant more than one variety of blackberries, are several-fold. First of all, blackberries are self-pollinating, self-productive. They don't necessarily need another pollinator, but I think they do, and I've read some, that they do better when they have a pollinator of a different variety. And that's one reason that I'm glad that I have more than one variety, even though it was a mistake. The second thing is, all these Primark Freedoms produced their berries, started producing their berries, their floor cane berries, the berries from the growth from last year, what growth survived the freeze from last year. By the way, if you're in an area that gets down to zero all the time in the wintertime, that's not a big deal for you. Do not buy Primark Freedoms. They did not like 0 degrees. So just take that as a word of caution. They seem to love the heat and not love the cold. Traditionally, we'll get down in the 20s, maybe even the teens, but we only once in 30 or 40 years probably go down to 0. That's just a side note. So why else am I happy? Well, again, these produced all their berries from last year's cane, their floor cane berries. They produced all of those, and they've been gone for a couple of weeks. And at the point those stopped producing, this Ouachita, I think it's a Ouachita, I'm not sure exactly what it is. This plant started producing, and they're good looking berries. Oh my gosh, very sweet. And I have just been picking the dog out of this one berry plant in this container. I would say I've gotten, and I'm not counting they're going straight to jelly or straight to cobbler or straight in the freezer, but I would imagine easily I've gotten 2 gallons off this one plant, maybe more than that, because they were just, you can see all the places where I picked, all the little dead buds there, all those were blackberries, and they're just, you can just see them, they're everywhere. Still got a few on it, still got a few ripening, which again brings me to my second, excuse me, had to eat one, my second reason, and that is, this one is beginning to cease production. I've got a few more that are going to ripen to black. They'll get picked or eaten like I'm doing right now. And then because these Primark Freedoms are primocane variety, which means they will produce a crop, a summer and fall crop on the first year's canes, the primocanes. Now I know it's confusing. It is for me sometimes. I get tongue-tied and have to go back and edit it out. But since these are the primocane variety, Primark Freedom, primocane from Arkansas, University of Arkansas, and the name is Freedom, Primark Freedom. Since these are primocane varieties, I start getting a crop, another crop. This is a second crop, not the second for this cane. This cane just came up a few months ago, but this is what I'm getting out of my primocane crop from these Primark Freedoms. And some of them are huge. It's going to be extremely productive. See all the blooms and stuff? Extremely productive from a group of plants that I thought got killed during the hard Texas freeze. I really thought they were going to die. So especially when I started seeing them turning black and kind of dying. But all these, look at all the new growth. All this is new growth, but this is just within the last few weeks. And that's 3 feet tall. Those are 3 feet tall. These I prune at about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet, right there at the top wire of this trellis. And if you don't know what I'm talking about on that trellis, and if you grow blackberries, this is a simple to make, cheap to make, working and a trellis that works very, very well. So look up right about there, right about now, and there'll be a video how to build this trellis. But I want you to look at this. After my first crop from the floor canes from last year, the ones that survived the freeze, I've got a bunch of berries. Not a lot of berries because not a lot of those canes survived. And then after that, I've got the Ouachita or on the end or whatever that is, and I do believe it's a Ouachita because I've got another one somewhere in another pot. But after that crop, then I get the primocane crop. I want you to look at this little dude right there. That there is a berry. Another one. All those on top of that plant are just huge. So I've got a bunch up here too. Look at that one. That's a double berry. That's a double berry, and it is enormous. Got another one up there. Right there, that red one is about 1.5 inches long. Kind of hard to tell, I know, perspective on video. So I'm glad the mix-up was made because from about mid-May through what looks to be mid-July to probably mid-July, since I have blooms that haven't even opened yet, those blooms will open, they'll get pollinated, they'll make a berry, and it'll take, 2-3 weeks for that berry to ripen. So I'm looking at blackberries for about 3-4 months. And because I had more than one variety of blackberry. So lesson learned, plant more than one variety for several reasons. Find varieties that ripen at different paces, and they'll give you that information. They'll usually tell you, a good nursery will tell you that. But I am really, really happy with the blackberries, and real happy with the mistake that was made on that little black sheep over there on the corner. It does kind of look pitiful over there. It doesn't have the foliage. Now, I'm getting some new canes on it, but it doesn't have the foliage that these primocanes have. They just are really, they really go crazy, and they're very erect. The canes can be dime to 1/4 inch size at the base. I mean, in diameter, they're just big, healthy, strong canes. They need that support, I think, of the trellis, because they can, once they get overloaded with berries, they can get heavy, and you get a windstorm, they can blow over and they can break that cane off at the roots, and you're done. When it's broke off, you're done with that cane. But I just love my little black sheep here because he has provided me with berries steadily. I mean, lots and lots of berries for about 2 or 3 weeks now. A little tip you might not know. Each one of these bumps on that berry, each one of those bumps has to be pollinated. That's why sometimes you'll see a berry that is missing a few of those seed, whatever they're called, seed things. You know, the berry, it's basically a seed. Each one of those bumps is a little seed holder. It's got seed and juice in it, and each one of those has to be pollinated for it to make that. Maybe you didn't know that. So that's why you need to bring in some pollinators. They love these blackberries. If you plant them, they will come, I think, if they're anywhere near you. So if you've got one variety, you might want to think about adding a different variety. Check out when it blooms, when it produces, and try to make it either before or after the variety you currently have, and keep yourself in blackberries for a long time. The Primocanes, I really like them best because I get 2 crops a year, and it gives me what I was doing was was having a big crop in the spring and then waiting, you know, a month or two for these Primocanes to produce. But now that I've got old black sheep there, or red-headed stepchild, that's what I call her, that red-headed stepchild there. Now that I've got old stepchild there, I've got berries, dadgum, all from May till July or August. Who knows? I don't know how long these things are going to produce. I know they do real well. You keep them pruned and everything, they start making those laterals, and they make a new lateral, and it may take a month for that lateral to grow, and then that lateral produce blooms and berries. Not all laterals do that in the first year, but gosh, look at this. That's just one plant. One plant has all those berries, all those berries, all of those berries, all of those berries back there, all those blooms right there. One plant. There's some more coming on right there. But I mean, this is one plant. One plant gonna have 100 berries on it. One plant. And that's the Primocane berry. That doesn't even include what's going to happen next year with these canes. So I don't know. Mistake was made, and I am thankful it was. So it has taught me to plant more than one variety, and so I'm teaching you that. All right. Old stepchild there is still producing. She ain't got very many left on her, but I'm glad I got her. I'm glad I got the stepchild. All right. All right. I hope you're not redheaded and a stepchild. You may not like me very much right now. All right, we're gone.